Good morning, everyone. Today I'd like to tell you about how I became an amputee.
All
I
right.
believe,
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions to
okay,
help you tell everyone. So, basically, how did you lose your legs?
I was, the first video we did, I believe I said I was hit by a car, which is true, but actually I was hit by a drunk driver, and that was 10:17 in the morning. One of the ironic parts about my accident, there was a gentleman following this guy down the road, and he kept on beeping his horn to get the guy's attention, keep him awake, because he knew either he had something medically wrong with him, but as it turned out, he was drunk. But his job was to take pictures of accidents. So once my accident happened, he jumped out of his car and took the pictures of the car, the truck, and me laying on the ground. And then my lawyer found out who he was, and he purchased the pictures from the guy, which helped in court.
All right. So, was anyone with you at the time?
My brother Ben,
Was he when that had happened?
he didn't know what happened. He was thrown up under the hood of the truck. He knew something had happened, but then he heard me moaning. So when he walked around to the front of his truck, he saw me on the ground and all the damage that was done to my legs. So we, they called the rescue, basically, and wrapped up my legs the best they could, and then put me in the rescue with my brother. And we drove to the hospital. I was awake through the whole thing, like driving to the hospital, getting to the hospital, and talking to the doctors. And finally, I was going into shock, big time. And the doctor finally told me he was going to knock me out.
Is there anything that you specifically remember after being hit by the car?
Two things I remember, and the first one I did not like at all because my stomach was crushed. I had the wind knocked out of me, so I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't talk, and I couldn't yell, and that I didn't care for. The second thing I remember was once I was in the rescue, every bump the rescue would hit, my legs hurt so bad. It was awful.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
So, now I'm going to ask you a little bit about what it was like in the hospital. So, what was your experience in the hospital?
I had actually gone to two hospitals. Well, virtually, I went to the first hospital. I had come down with gastric gangrene, which is the worst pain you can have. And I had a fever, and it was in my left leg. And the fever was 105.6.
Oh, wow.
So they had to wrap up my body in like a rubber suit and pump water through it because I was basically dying. And then I had my last rites 3 times. And the hospital called my parents and so they can come up to see me at least 3 to 4 times during that first 12 days. After that, they had transferred me to a different hospital where I spent 3.5 months. I still had some bad experiences there, not as bad as the first hospital. But 3.5 months in the hospital, altogether 4 months in the hospital, is for a 15-year-old kid is long, and
Of
when you're
course.
sick, it's not bad. But when you're feeling good, you want to go home, and you can't.
Of course. Um, did you ever see the man who hit you again after your accident?
I want to say yes, but I really can't prove it. And the reason was I was in bed one day, and a man came to my door, but he didn't say anything. He just looked at me, and I turned my head and looked at him. And when I did, he walked away. So I never knew. I never knew if that was him or someone that was lost looking for a different patient. I really don't know.
All right. All right. So, what was your interaction with the nurses?
Most of the nurses I had were extremely nice. Um, the first hospital I went to, there were several I'll never forget. They were very nice. One came to see me when I had transferred to the other hospital, and she came to see me. And in the beginning, I didn't know who she was. And when she found out they had amputated my right leg, she got all upset, and she told me she had to leave. I was on drugs. I really couldn't say much to her, but I always wanted her to know that I was happy because I was alive, even though my leg had been amputated. I was happy just being alive.
Of course.
So the biggest reason why I'm doing this part of it is I just wanted the nurses to know that a lot of them I still remember. I just still remember, I use the first names, Mary and Helen and Liz and Pam. Pam I'll never forget. She was a nice nurse. I didn't have many bad experiences with nurses. I had one nurse who I didn't care for, and I had one doctor I didn't care for, but basically they were nice.
All right.
Okay, thank you for watching. Hopefully we'll do something again shortly and have some better ideas or something interesting that we can talk about.
Yeah, comment them down below and also comment down your questions for him.
That'd be good.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.